Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Time Between Times storytelling with me, Owen Staton. The darkness is still absolute. The storms rage outside. January is almost over. It seems like it has been here for an eternity. But we are nearly there. We can nearly feel the spring, the light, the return of life. But here we are. There's a little way to go. But that means there is time for more tales traditionally told. And I have one for you today. I am recording this on the evening of the 24th of January. And the 25th of January is a big day in Wales. It is Dydd Saint Dwynwen, Saint Dwynwen's Day, the patron saint of lovers in Wales, a day when cards are exchanged, messages are sent, often unsigned, to show people who you admire and that you secretly love, that someone is there to care for them. Many years ago, when I was in school, there was a young girl who I admired from afar, too shy to approach, too shy to speak to. But I wrote her a card. All down one side of the card I wrote a poem explaining my love for her. I signed it and drew lots of doodles upon it, and waited. My bag was next to hers on the bus coming home. My stop was before hers. And I took the card and dropped it in her bag and went home. All weekend I waited and worried, wondering if she would find out it was from me. I returned on the Monday and looked. She was sat there with no sign of anything different. We arrived at school, and all that day I thought, "Whoa, does she know anything?" When I was approached by one of my friends who said, "Why have you written me a St. Dwynwen's card and placed it in my bag?" I'd put it in the wrong bag, and my handwriting was easily recognisable, so she never got it. And even all those years later, she still does not know how I felt. But the story of Saint Dwynwen is a sad one, one that has been passed along for centuries, but one that is well worth knowing, that someone would sacrifice themselves for love. And it's a story that I will tell you today. So sit back, relax, close your eyes if it's safe to do so, and come with me to the firepit at the heart of the forest. There has been a storm that raged so long and so loud that it shook the very eaves of your house. But tonight is still, tonight is safe, tonight is cool and cold and dark. So you put on your coat, step outside your home, and walk down the pathway to the road that leads to the forest, the woods. As you approach, you see the trees stretching to the sky. But faintly in the heart of the forest, you can just make out a flickering light. And you know that that must be the firepit at the heart of the forest. You step into the woods. You make your way through the wooded path, past the old mossy tower. You leap over the babbling brook until you come to it, the firepit at the heart of the forest. You look up. Both the moon and the stars share the same sky, For now is the time between times, the time when it's neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey, the time when the veil between our world and the fairy world grows wafer thin, so thin that for a moment, and just a few moments, we can reach into their realm, and for a few moments they can reach into ours. You see, now is the time that people see lights in the sky. Now is the time that people see and hear and feel the Tylwyth Teg. Now is the time of ghosts and spirits of the past, the present, and the future. Now is the time between times, the time when tales are traditionally told at the firepit at the heart of the forest. You feel the heat of the flames on your hand and your feet as the storyteller stands and starts to tell their tale. Long ago and far away, in the kingdom of Brycheiniog, in the heart of Wales, there it was ruled over by Brychan Brycheiniog, a man who had many daughters, 24 in fact. All of them were as fair as the dawn sun, but one shined brighter than all the others. Her name was Dwynwen. Dwynwen was as fair as the morning star. Dwynwen had long blonde hair ringed with flowers, but she was strong in aspect and mind. Often going out to hunt herself, she would ride over the great Banau Brycheiniog hills with a wind in her hair. And she did on this occasion. The sun was shining as she rode across the mountain tops, her horse riding as fast as it could. It was said her horse was so swift that it could ride into the other world. But on this occasion, she rode as far as she possibly could in a day before returning to her father's keep. But there on a lonely road, surrounded by trees and next to a babbling brook, she came across a young man sitting there fishing in the waters. The stream was so bright it reflected in the sky. The fish inside it danced and jumped as she started to speak with this man. When he turned and looked at her, it was as if she had seen the face of an angel. His name was Maelon Davodril, and he was the son of another local prince, an enemy of her father's. But as soon as they started to speak, the sparks started to fly. As soon as they started to talk, their hearts beat as one, and they were in love. Dwynwen had never felt this way before. Dwynwen had never felt so happy. So they rode back to her father's keep to ask him for her hand in marriage. They rode through the day, and at the night they arrived, and it was the time between times, the time when it was neither night nor day, that the sun had gone, and the sky was grey, as they made their way into the courtyard. Everyone there was surprised to see Maelon and Dwynwen together. They walked through the great oaken doors and into the hearth and the home of her father, and there all her family had gathered, all her sisters, all of her many brothers, all of his warriors and the people around. A great hush spread about the court as Maelon stepped inside, went to one knee in front of her father, and asked for Dwynwen's hand in marriage. When he did so, her father's rage knew no bounds. His anger was such that the gods in the sky heard his shouts and cries. But Maelon's was worse. He had never been refused anything in his life, and now he showed his true mantle. He screamed and he shouted and drew his blade, and there, over the fire and in the hall, a great battle occurred. The men of her father battled with Maelon. He battled back. Flames threw up the wall from the fire. People screamed and ran from the hall. And so did Dwynwen, taking a horse and riding into the night, the cries of battle in the hall running through the air. She came to a clearing at the heart of the forest, far, far away, jumped off a horse and started to weep. Her father did not have her best wishes at heart, and the husband she proposed turned out to be not as nice as she thought. She had been deceived by love, blinded by the light, and now she wept and cried in a clearing in the middle of the forest. The moon rose in the sky, and the stars formed a blanket that looked down on the earth. And Dwynwen started to pray. She prayed to the God above that she would never feel this way again. And then it happened. At the corner of the clearing, in the shadows and the shadows, a light started to shine. A light that drifted amongst the trees, a light that passed from clearing to clearing. She stood up and looked as the glowing, gleaming, glistening light passed from tree to tree until it stepped into her clearing. And there she saw it, a sight she would never thought she would see. An angel from heaven above. The angel stepped forward, taller than the tallest of men, with wings stretching out, bigger than the biggest of eagles. Its hair was long, longer than Dwynwen's, and more golden, if ever anyone could think of such a thing. And when it spoke in a voice like the fairest song you would ever hear. Dwynwen, we have heard your prayers. You do not have anything to fear. When we saw the evil that was being done in your name, we turned your would-be love, Mylon Davodril, into a block of ice. And now he stands on the mountain top, not far from here, and will never be thawed. So all may pass and look upon his aspect, and see that within, of course, there is beauty, but also a darkness. And forever will he be a warning to those who seek something more than they know. But to you who has ridden the hills for many years, for you the fairest of all creatures on this earth, we grant you 3 wishes. 3 wishes that you can take with you, that will be answered, now and forever. Dwynwen looked up at the angel. The light coming off him was so strong that she had to shield her eyes. But when she spoke in a voice that was stronger than the greatest ocean. And the angel was taken back by what she had to say. You grant me 3 wishes, not 1, not 4, but 3. And I will answer you right now with those wishes. My first one is that Mylon be thawed and let to carry on with his life. Please do this. It is done, said the angel, although a wry look of surprise crossed his face. Number 2, that all true lovers, wherever they may be and whenever they are protected in my name. That love that is pure, love that is true, love that is brighter than the brightest star, may always be protected. It is done, said the angel, and Dwynwen felt a warmth in her heart, a warmth that passed through her body like a great deed had been done. And my final wish, my final ask, the final thing I ask of you, O angel of heaven, is that I never feel this way again. That my heart cannot withstand feeling this low. So I wish that I will never fall in love as long as I live. As she said those words, a cloud passed over the moon. It was like all the animals in the clearing and beyond stopped for a moment and stared. And the angel took a moment as he gasped and stepped back, but then walked in and replied, "It is done." And with that, The light faded, the angel vanished, and Dwynwen rose to her feet. She climbed atop her horse and rode through the night as far as she could. Sleeping under the trees and over the mountains she went, until she came to a small island off the coast of Anglesey. And there she sat on a rock and thought about all that had happened. And it was there that her life changed. Shorn of the need to find love, she built a church and became a nun. And there she preached and helped and gave care to anyone who needed it. And her church stood on the Isle of Llandwyn, Dwynwen's church, for hundreds and hundreds of years. And even today, now, in this modern age, should you travel there, you will see the ruins of that church. And nearby a small pool, where fish live, sacred fish, that are said to be able to see the future if they are caught. If you pull the fish from the water, it will whisper in your ear the name of your true love, all in the name of Dwynwen. Although the church is now a ruin and far gone and almost forgotten, it is still known as a place in Wales where true lovers, protected by Dwynwen's love in the wish that she gave to the angel, may meet and share their hearts. And that, my friends, is the tale of Saint Dwynwen, the patron saint of Welsh lovers who lived many years ago in Wales and is still remembered on the 25th of January every year. I thank you so much for joining me here at the firepit at the heart of the forest at the time between times for another tale traditionally told. If you wish to support me, why not visit my Ko-fi at kofi.com/Owen Staton, or my Patreon, patreon.com/Owen Staton 7. There are more videos, more tales, and places you can interact with myself more. If you would love to share this humble podcast, wherever you get it, and leave a nice review, I would be most eternally grateful. Or if you know any friends who you think would welcome hearing these tales, please pass it on to them. My name is Owen Staton. I am a storyteller, and this is my podcast, Time Between Times. I thank you so much for joining me here. Have a great week, and I will see you again next week. Dydd Santes Dwynwen hapus I bawb. Happy St. Dwynwen's Day all. Nos da.